Uduasha city, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow. 800 years ago, the gates of death were broken by the Emperor Immortal. The 5 key bearers, however, had already unlocked them and walked right through. It is in Uduasha city they dwell. Now, the ghost field breathes next to our reality, lit by the eternal flame of the well of Udu. It is a second skin, a place where thought and will struggle against gravity and light. In other places, the dead congregate in the ghost field, but in Uduasha, the well city, the hell city, they fall straight into the flames. See its glittering districts: Kshitijpur, where the rich plot to buy the horizon; Bunda West, where the refugees of 2 different nations flock; and Pasarhantu, the vertical maze of market and murder. And here is Udepat, where the ceaseless temple resides. Its inhabitants, a family, a snake, and a god. The temple has stood since before the gods of this world were forgotten. Watch as it turns the wheels of revolution. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about people who take risks so they can survive against the odds. Hello everyone, welcome back to Desperate Attune. I'm Soumithri, or Tree, your GM. And with me are our regular players, Emma.
Hi.
Klow.
Buongiorno.
Prince.
Howdy doody.
Aadiyat, or Soap.
Present.
What the fuck? I should have expected that. Great, fantastic, incredible. It's the right energy. The right energy. At the end of our last session, we ended, in fact, on a cliffhanger as we saw Freya descend on this escalator along with, and I'm still going to pronounce his name wrong. I'm really sorry, Emma. Bodane?
That was good.
Oh, good. Okay. So Bodane and Nabila were descending down the escalator to reach where the committee meeting was being held. Freya continued the escalator, descended somehow past the ground, for she had briefly returned to the present time. And Joan was face to face with the vision of her past, with whom she had, somewhat kind of dealt with, but also, had left a fair amount of unfinished business with. In the committee meeting itself, the crew had managed to kind of wrest control away of the meeting from the Begum and from the Sheikh. And I think as matters stand now, you're very close to kind of like cementing that for the moment and being able to decide something, because you've been able to show everyone that you really know what's going on and they really don't. But I think we should start with Joan. I remember quite vividly that there was this moment of you and Bodane's eyes, your gazes kind of meeting and realizing that something has kind of gone quite wrong. And Nabila is actually under the impression that Bodane's a cool guy. He does seem to be going on about her friend Freya being some kind of royal, but, maybe that's just what happens on Vision Quests.
And Freya, if I remember correctly, warped through the floor and disappeared.
Yes, correct. Freya's no longer here, but I take that back. I think Nabila's actually freaking out because Freya's disappeared through the floor. Very good point.
Who among you has invited this birdwatcher into our committee?
I think Hardil will say, it is clear to me that none of us are here without your invitation. And it seems like if any of us have done any inviting, it must be those devotees of the eternal flame before us. And Bodane, I think, is just looking at you, Joan, in this way as if to say, turn your back for just a second and I will fucking stab you.
And she faces him with an unpleasant grin. It would seem that you are here by divine command. What do you have to say for yourself?
Her Royal Highness has bid me here in order to further the cause of the Scotland Revolution. A cause that you have no interest in, do you, traitor?
No, very little.
Yeah, and I think from behind around the table, there's some sputters of what the fuck? Revolution? I think Farzana is definitely I didn't sign up for anything like that. What is going on? So this is creating other commotion as well.
I have no interest in your rabble rousing, nor do I have any connections with it. Nor do these fine, respectable people at this table. So what is your purpose here?
My purpose is to ensure that Queen Freya, Her Royal Highness, makes it the throne. My purpose is the independence of Scotland. And if you have renounced that purpose, Joan, then you will pay. But he's not really making any decisions or anything. He's just saying that.
Your queen seems to have dropped out of existence. At least this one.
She has returned to where she most belongs, while I keep one such as you, traitors, here. And when he says this, from next to him, Nabila says, "What? What do you mean he returned? Where is she gone? What's going on? Look, none of this. What is going on? Ma?" And what? Anyone please explain this, because this is fucked up.
I think Vickers will interrupt at this point and step forward towards Badan and say, "Well, then there is no reason you should interrupt the proceedings. Please have a seat." I'm going to pull out the chair for him so that he can sit down and have this conversation like a civilized person. This is a committee meeting. There are rules, damn it.
Okay, so I will say that this is a roll. And I think the risk here is that you risk, this is divine revelation, you risk him becoming a full-blown part of the committee, whatever that means.
Good.
In fact, sorry, let me take that back. I think that's desperate. I think adding a ghost to your committee is really bad. So yeah, you're in a desperate position.
Okay,
but you can
fair.
do this.
Is the action command, you think?
Yeah. You are telling him what to do. You're not really force of personality. I think here makes sense.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I have a devil's bargain for you.
Okay.
Which is that someone from your future will appear here in order to help you with this.
What? Sorry, what from my future will appear?
Someone from your future, a person from your future will appear in order to help you.
No, I think I live in the moment. I'm not going to be a devil's bargain. So, do I have standard effect? And
yes. That's okay, standard.
My effect, I guess, is to have him sit down and shut up and stop disrupting proceedings.
Correct.
That's really my only goal. But hopefully that helps in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Since I did not take the devil's bargain, I shall push myself for a die. I don't think I need great effect. Or do I need great effect? Maybe I want that.
With great effect, what would you get here? I think with great effect, you would really demonstrate your control over this committee. I think you would fill the clock, right? Because what could be more obviously authoritative than just being I get to decide who sits down at this table. So yeah.
You know what? I think it would be very funny if I filled the clock this way. Is everyone okay with this? With?
I'm okay with it.
Okay, then I shall attempt to achieve our goals by rolling Desperate Great with no bonus dice instead. I rolled a 6 though, so it's fine.
Yeah, a 6, a 1, and a 1. I think that so Boden is so incredibly confused
by what is currently happening. Like his righteousness, which Joan was responding to exactly the way he'd imagined, has now been completely undercut by Vickers being like, "Would you like a seat?" And he's like, he looks around, he can see like, and I think Hardil's like very stern face, his demeanor of like, I'm completely unflappable, does not like help him be like, this is weird, right? So he kind of like takes a seat and he says, "My name is Bodain, and I'm here as I have an issue with one of your compatriots."
Yes, very good. Complaints are at the end, I believe. Joan has the protocol. Shall we proceed with the next point on the agenda? Because...
Yeah, absolutely. I excuse, and then like I guess you just shut me, right? Like he's like, wait a second.
No, we have a point on the agenda for complaints. This is not it. There will be no complaining.
Very good. And I think what this means is that then you get to dictate what the next point is, right? So you shut him up and you say, well, the next point is X, and you can just go for it.
Yes. So, well, we've already established the escalator, so there's no need to address that. I think, yes, obviously, the next point shall be Abbas explaining to everyone the importance of sacred architecture. I think that's the, how we must obey all the principles of sacred architecture that the Chakraborty has laid down.
Excellent.
Yes. Thank you, Vickers. See, ladies and gentlemen of the committee, we are being washed away by the tide of blind progress. Only progress for progress's sake, without any consideration as for what it is that people actually need. What will happen to this temple when these so-called renovations go through? The beauty of this temple, which has stood here since before time immemorial, will be destroyed. What about aesthetics? What about beauty? When people come into this temple and they see the statues, the carvings on the walls, the paintings, they feel a sense of community. They feel that, yes, this is their city. They belong here. People understand that they have a shared culture. We cannot let this be destroyed.
And I think, as you say this, I mean, the Sheikh is definitely on your side, so he's nodding and clapping enthusiastically. Nabila, someone definitely needs to address her because she's like, I think, now gone up to Joan and she's like, kind of like, Joan, you work here, right? Like, what is going on? And I think the Begum is looking at Hardil, and Hardil just like shakes his head as if to be like, you don't get to say what. And I think Hardil says, I agree with Abbas. We must not permit the ancient, profound beauty of the architecture be changed in any way. I propose we draw up a plan to renovate in such a fashion that nothing that is intact is changed, that everything is in its place, and that whatever happens, the changes will only be something that benefits the temple and its community. All in favor? And then he says aye, and then the Sheikh says aye, and then Farzana is worried about her daughter, so we'll pretend she abstained. She would have said aye.
Yes, and Vickers, on behalf of Miraz, will vote aye because we had this clause about the only important changes that are directly necessary, but we have seen that the escalator is directly necessary for accessibility, and so
yes, correct.
Miraz made this argument a long time ago, and we need clearly to improve the accessibility of the temple, but otherwise it's fine, it can stay.
I really want to know how Abbas feels about this escalator that has managed.
Yes, well, the thing is, it's right there.
This whole time I think it was an elevator for some reason. No, it's
an escalator.
It's an escalator. Yeah,
that's worse. An elevator would have been.
Yes. However,
I will approve of this escalator, given that I am the one who can design it.
so it must be an aesthetically pleasing escalator. I think that's the compromise. It may the technology is allowed, but it must look really nice and be like Art Deco, so it matches.
Incredible. There is a special case for NPCs in the book, which I quite like, which is when a master NPC makes a move, they can just do it unless you resist, right? And I think 5% of cases, Hardil is not this kind of master NPC. His boss is. His boss is just like, you don't want to go there. But I think in a committee meeting, him being a lawyer and understanding how procedure works, this is one of the few cases in which, like, he can do this. And I think because you have completed the clock, he is unable to get everything that he wants. And I think, I don't mind telling you that what he wanted was like complete control of all of the bits in the temple that haven't been cleaned out, so he can clean them out and use them, right? But I think what he will do instead, he will say to the Sheikh, Sheikh Abdullah, I have heard that you have a deep interest in preservation and design, yes? That we put you in charge of the subcommittee to decide what designs constitute important designs. And what he's doing here is trying to like undercut Abbas here, so that like maybe work on Abdullah like in his spare time and maybe figure it out that way.
I feel like Abbas should resist this with the power of friendship.
I was gonna say something like, yeah, Sheikh Abdullah, you should take the you should go ahead. Please drop by my room whenever you have any ideas, and I'll help you iron them out.
Yeah, this seems like insight to me. Deception or understanding.
Right, let us resist.
3. I think that the reason that this stresses you out a little is that Adil is still nevertheless very charming, right? So I think he kind of like makes a tutting noise, like as if to be like one of the rare times that his displeasure makes it like onto his face. He's like, fine, I tried it, didn't work. There's always tomorrow, right? And he just kind of like makes a statement like, very well, then it will be me, Abbas, and the Sheikh on the subcommittee. And then, that at the end of the day, he's always going to be outvoted because the two of you are going to vote in concert, right? But at least he'll be on the subcommittee. Let's cut away to Freya. Freya, you have... the way that I'm imagining this is that you are on this escalator, and as it proceeds through the ground, you're actually descending on this escalator, but you are now like in the air in the Sanctum Sanctorum, and in our present reality, that escalator doesn't exist. So you fall like, I don't know, maybe like 6 feet, and you're just like, what the fuck? And I don't think like it does any like harm to you, whatever. You fall in like longer distances, you've got some reflexes, that's not a problem. But it's just like, what happens when you're standing on something that isn't there? You will succumb to gravity. Are you gonna try and make your way back?
Yes, I would. So my ghost key is in the present. That was one of the consequences.
Yes, your ghost key is in the present. You are correct.
Where the fuck is it? Can I see it?
I don't think it's like interesting to say that you can't see it or you can't get it. So, okay, yeah, I know what has happened. Yes, you can see it. It is in Padmamukhi's hands, and she's peering at it and then looking at you as if to be like, "What's going on?"
Which one was Padmamukhi? Was she the nice one or the mean one?
She's the mean one. Padma Priya is the nice one. The way that I remember this is that Priya is nice and the other one's not nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I go, oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Padmamukhi. I was looking everywhere for this, and I kind of snatch it out of her hands, or I try to.
Yeah, I think you try to, and then she kind of like yanks it back and says, up, up, up. No, before you do anything, young miss, I want to know what is going on. Now, Abbas has told me that you are conducting some fashion of ritual and that via the Sanctum Sanctorum. But I knew that I would need to come in and supervise, and I can see. You fell out of the ceiling. What is going on, young miss?
I'll explain everything very quickly. And Freya is very good at snatching things out of people's hands and not
Yes.
explaining.
Great. I think this is a roll.
Yes, fitness.
Yeah. I think it's controlled standard. And I think the reason it's controlled is that, I mean, she's not really gonna like hit you or anything, right? Like at some point you'll come back and then she'll ask you then what the hell is going on, right? But there is some risk here. Something could go wrong.
Of course. If it's control standard, I'm happy to roll as is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 5.
2 out of 5, yeah. I think your controlled consequence here, and you can always like roll again if you don't like it, or resist. But I think your controlled consequence here is that as you snatch the ghost key out of her hands, you see her mutter something, and a duplicate of the key appears in her hand. It is kind of ethereal. It doesn't quite have the same solidity to it that yours does. And yet, I think she grabs it and she looks at it and she says, well, I suppose I can't stop you from leaving, but that was quite rude.
Yeah, she says to empty air because I'm out of here already.
Yeah, and she will kind of just look down at her key and say, young people these.
Yeah, that's fine. So I have the key. We have ghost echoes. So is it
Yeah.
relatively straightforward to navigate back to the future?
Oh, man. Yes, but is it straightforward? Oh, you tell me. Do you think it is straightforward to find the same future?
I think there's definitely problems here, potentially. Like it's possible, which I suppose is already a lot, right? That this is standard effect.
Yeah.
But it's not risk-free, I imagine.
No, I don't think it's risk-free.
Yeah. I think it's a straightforward case of attuning, though.
Yeah. So let's say.
I would like to assist you.
Mhm.
Okay.
I have a very dumb but simple way to assist you, which is that like Vickers isn't really part of the meeting. So as everyone sits down and she goes back to, serving chai, which is most of what she's doing this meeting, she will casually walk by the elevator and press the button to reverse its direction. So now it goes up.
Escalator, not the elevator.
Escalator, yes, sorry.
Mhm.
But yes, reverse the direction of the escalator. Now it's an upward going escalator instead. So
All right. Tell you
this
what.
clearly helps.
I have recently taken a new ability, like a star. I will fly up to this. I will fly up to where the escalator used to be,
Hmm.
Amazing.
or where the escalator will be. Anyway,
Yes.
I
Okay.
will fly up to where I fell from, and thereby be able to participate in this reverse escalator business.
I was thinking desperate earlier, but actually, I think the assistance also helps fictionally because you have someone on the other side trying to pulling you in as well as you trying to find it. So I think you're now only at risky, and I think you're at
And
risky
I'm
standard.
pushing myself to fly, so that makes it easier to use this. So basically, now I'm using the escalator, which I suppose is
Yes.
like a different.
Yeah,
kind of
absolutely.
anyway.
Yeah. So I think you're at risky standard now before your push. So would you like to push for a die or for effect?
I would like to push for a die, but I wonder about desperate great. I want to fly. I want to re-emerge majestic and ethereal.
Wow.
I want to descend like this, like the queen I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
To what purpose we shall see.
Okay. So let's say that with great effect, you will not just reappear, but you will reappear making an appearance.
Yes, and I suppose the desperate consequence here could be something to do with Bodan, or perhaps.
I mean, there are so many things.
Yes, excellent. So long as you have no problems coming with.
Oh yeah. No, again, I've had a week to think about some of the things that could happen, and Princess said, "Okay, fine, no one from the future will." Yeah, sure, but there's so many other things that could still happen. Oh, lovely though. 5 dice.
1, 5, 6, 5, 3.
Yeah,
Get
but that was a
6.
6. Yeah.
Yes.
I think I know what happens. So you press a button, not even really knowing what you're doing, and you think it's going to change the direction of the escalator. But actually, what it does is that this table around which everyone is sitting with their little place names, about committees or whatever, suddenly breaks in half, but not in an elegant way, in one of those anime ways, right? Like where it's split clean in half. and the two halves of the table push away, and the escalator rises, and Freya comes out of it, golden and maybe looking like she's crowned. You can't tell. I mean, surely that's just an effect of the light. But what isn't an effect of the light is A, Nabila saying, "Oh my god, you're back!" and jumping at you in, like, joy and relief, and Bodan saying, "Her Royal Highness!" and like standing up and saluting.
I return and I hug Nabila and I look at Bodan and I give him a nod and I turn to the others and, let's manifest this crown. Why not? I have ghost image.
Uh-huh.
I am now wearing a magnificent crown. And in fact, like I'm wearing like raiments. I'm looking royal. And I turn to the others and I say, "Hear me now. The ceaseless temple shall be forever present, and it shall pave the way towards a brighter future for the citizens of the empire at large. Scotland, Iruvia, Acheros, all shall unite, and the temple shall be at the center of it all. And it shall all be, as the wise elder says, follow his example, follow the sage, follow the vizier." And I turn to Abbas and I give him a bow.
Okay. I feel like this is part of your great effect. This just happens, right? People are paying very close attention because they're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And I think the sheikh will just say, "Praise be to the temple." And then like Farzana and the Begum will be like, "Yeah, praise be to the temple." Hadil is stone cold silent. Like, this is interesting. I'm not gonna engage.
Yep. Vickers is looking down the escalator, confused at where Freya found these clothes, and is trying to figure out where they came from.
Oh man.
Abbas is looking up at the. Is Freya like levitating almost, or?
Not anymore.
Oh, not anymore.
Yeah, but I did levitate. I did levitate. I had the thing, and I'm like coming back to the earth.
Yeah, I think Abbas says, "Oh yes, thank you for those kind words, Freya."
Yes, and Freya kind of like looks around as they're like, "Okay, seems like everything's done. I'm here now."
Very good.
Where did you go off to?
I visited a familiar place, she said cryptically.
It's very good that this is very cryptic because Bodain absolutely thinks this means you went all the way to Scotland and back somehow.
He's such a nice subject. Can I have him?
He believes in you fully and truly, and he's also plotting Joan's murder even as we speak. But you can absolutely add him as a contact.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how does Joan react to all this?
Joan is kind of like has been kind of in a moment with Nabila, who has been like looking past her as she was asking about, wait, what is this? To see Abbas, and multiple times saying like, no, shh, the questions are also at the end. And at that point, the point where Nabila jumps away and Freya appears regally, Joan goes back to glowering at Baudin.
I think that the Begum now, having been silent in her opinion for far too long, and I want to make clear here that there's a lot of chatter happening. We're just not always seeing it on screen. So for her, far too long is about 4 minutes. We'll say, surely the escalator is not the only change we are discussing. I will bring a point-by-point agenda to our next meeting so that we might fully discuss the complete rehabilitation and transformation of this glorious temple. And then she kind of looks around and says, as you can see, in the future, nothing is recognizable. That is what we must enact, and that is what I shall enact. And then she kind of those, there's a meme of Socrates with his finger in the air. That's what he's kind of doing, declaiming.
But she has lost the vote, right?
Yes. So she can't. So which is why she's threatening in the future. She can't do anything about it now.
I think I turn to Abbas and quietly whisper, Abbas uncle, who is this person? Is this someone who who we like?
No, Freya. This is a person trying to destroy everything we have built.
Do you want me to do something about that?
Hmm. Just okay. So out of here, I was gonna try to do something, which is like we're in the coast field. Like, can we project some kind of vision of like that's what I wanted to do is like show everyone like, oh, this is what's gonna happen if she gets her way.
Oh, so Freya can do this because she's got ghost image. You can only do it if you're going to like roll something, and it's probably quite risky.
Tell you what. Tell me everything that you think that you want to tell them will about the future of the temple if she gets her way. Tell me, describe it in detail, and I start shaping it. Let's do a group action, Sway.
Yep.
Nice.
And I'm going to make it. I'm going to like materialize everything Abbas is going to describe. So you speak, and it shapes up.
Do you see Freya, these intricately curved walls? Now imagine them just, replaced by sterile plaster. See these columns here that have stood for thousands of years. This whole room, they'll destroy it. What? To make a place where rich people can come in with their horse-drawn, their goat-drawn carriages or their elephants, and then park here, and this whole thing will become like a zoo. The smell will go for miles.
I love how the most dystopian thing Abbas can imagine is a zoo.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking.
It makes sense. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just like funny
Our,
that.
our Halo temple, these sacred grounds that is used to serve people, will become only another tool for her enrichment. She will put over here her own shops, her own houses. She'll turn this thing into a hotel if she can. She will try to charge the people who live here, who come to us for help, just for a place to live.
No, I just want to point out here that like Abbas has also established that elephants exist in this world. So, I'm just saying they could turn up at any moment. The elephants could be anywhere.
Hey, they live in the Deathlands.
That seems like a very bad place for elephants to be, I'm not gonna lie.
Devil's bargain, elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. So as Abbas is describing this, Freya kind of like stands behind him and starts waving her hands and to kind of like hide the fact that she's like conjuring the illusion, right? And like as she disappears from view, because she stops concentrating, the royal crown and like garments vanish. But instead, what starts happening, and like her forehead like beads in sweat as she like concentrates on this. The tableau of the temple falling apart starts happening. So I'm going to first mark stress to conjure the illusion. I'm going to mark an extra stress for the illusion to be moving as like the elephants show up and like the temple comes crashing down. I'm going to mark another stress to affect other senses like sound as like crashing and so on, and like smell as you smell the horse shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a total of 3 stress for this illusion. And I
Okay.
will roll sway.
Yeah, I think if you are both rolling sway, then that is a group action.
Yes. I would like to get a devil's bargain.
I think that as you craft this, it's possible that as you craft this illusion, you begin to also put in images that you don't want to see, which is that you see images of Scotland in this future, and it is a desolate waste.
Maybe, but may I suggest one, which
Sure.
is I would like to get the attention of some sort of like demon or horror.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let me think about it for just a second.
Yeah, I mean you can like establish what it is afterwards, but like you can
Demon
just-
elephant.
Oh, yes, you are correct. That is, of course, what it is. It is the demon known. One of its names is the elephant. It's got many others that I will come up with as I think about it, and it has a particular interest in deception. Because I think we've seen a lot of royalty, but the other half of you is trickery, right?
It is a trickster elephant.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah. And it is paying, I think, in fact, it is not a demon that exists in your present, it's a demon that exists in the future, but having existed in the future, it will now exist in your present. This is totally normal.
And I have no idea this is happening.
No.
Great, excellent. All right, sway. I have spent 3 stress already for the illusion. I'm taking a devil's bargain. What is my position in effect? Well, I see our position in effect.
So I think that you will have great effect here. So the reason that I think you will have great effect is that you would need great effect to convince someone whose entire life is fighting pointless committee battles. Like she and the Sheikh Abdullah have been in a bureaucratic tug of war for like the last 10 years now. So you'll have great effect here. If you manage to convince her to like not take this forward. But I think that you are in a desperate position, and I think the desperate position here is that she may try to take other means of making what she wants happen. She'll give up on the committee meeting. She might end up like resorting to something more serious.
I don't mind it being war, literally, with her organization.
Entirely possible.
Yeah, what are these paper pushers gonna do?
What's this like random ass cult going to do?
Yes.
Okay. Desperate, great, with the bonus dice. Excellent. I will roll.
A 4 and a 5. Right?
All right. 3, you were saying?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that I think that what happens here is, so these illusions are like extremely convincing, right? And I feel like everyone around this table, and like Farzana is not someone who really is paying much attention to a lot of this, but like she's definitely paying attention to it. And she, I think you can see on her face the horror that Abbas is trying to inspire in her. And she's totally convinced. I think that horror is mirrored in a weird way on the Begum's face, but the Begum's horror is not, oh my god, this is terrible, but it is, oh my god, I can't get anything done on this committee. I will have to resort to something else. And I think that what the Begum will resort to will be some kind of violence.
So just a little favor here. As the Begum sees this vision that horrifies everyone else, she's like, it's more beautiful than I ever imagined. I must make it happen. Smell it. So she will be committed to making exactly this horrible thing happen.
Excellent.
Obsessed with it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that like the reason she's obsessed with it is not because of the thing itself, but because she knows that if all of this happens, then she can get exactly what she wants.
I want to suggest that this success, though, kind of concludes the score.
Yeah, I think that makes
I think
sense.
so.
I mean, we haven't dealt with Badan, but we have sort of dealt with Badan in that he's going to follow Freya around and/or scheme to murder Joan. But that just means we have a murderous ghost roommate. That's fine. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah.
Things we have accomplished from this role, we have Badan as, our new friend. We have an elephant demon interested in Freya. Begum Bushindar has lost her mind and is now obsessed with making this horrible this horrible parking lot happen,
Right.
which he will do at any cost. Excellent.
Totally normal and fine, guys.
I call that a good score.
And we have acquired. I think that we have successfully begun the renovation project. I think that we should earn a sanctuary. It just kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Command +1 dice to command and sway on site.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And it does mean that every time you try and do this, you will have to, make them come into your weird ghost reality. So perfect.
Or maybe it just means that, we can just do this every time. It's easier, or we have the effect.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's say that Freya, you have now found that you have a knack for finding this future again. For some reason, when you look for it, it's right there. And that reason is the elephant demon. But also, isn't it great that you can find it whenever you like?
Yes.
So yeah, I
There's no
think.
problems here. Everything's going amazing.
Yep.
That's the score then, right?
That's the score. Amazing. I think I want to end on this shot of Nabila kind of like holding Freya's hand and like just like lecturing her and being like, "Don't you ever do that again? Can't believe you would scare me like that."
I'm gonna do it so many times.
Indeed.
Out of character. In character, I'm like, oh no, of course, thank you for being so worried.
Mm.
I had no idea what happened, etc., etc.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, okay. So I think that we can call that a score. You will make some money off this. I think, let's say, you'll make 4 coin, partially because Hardil is happy to put money into you, but I do think you will have to pay it back. And what is happening here is that he's laundering his cash through you. So he's like making some bills and then being like, oh yeah, the temple is employing me or whatever, and then like he'll get the cash back. But you will also get +2 coin.
That's not what pro bono means, Hardil.
No, it's not. It's really not. I want to be clear here. That is the opposite of pro bono.
So how much coin do we actually get?
So you get. So you lose what? Your tier +1. So that's you lose 2 coins.
Yeah, so we lose 2,
Yes.
and then we gain 2 for occult operations.
Yes. Correct.
But mind you, this is optional. Like we can choose not to pay our word.
Also true.
Yeah, but I think in this situation, it makes perfect sense that it works like this because our occult score comes from our supplying occult materials to Begum Bashundara, and I think it makes total sense that like she gives us this money and then Hardil takes it. It just is very logical.
Yeah, that's very funny. Actually, you're right.
Fair enough. But on that note, Boshundara contract claim +2 coin for occult operations. This was an occult operation.
Yes, no, that's what I think we're saying. That like you get the +2 contract, and that's exactly the 2 that will get taken away by Hudbill. I'm just gonna note, in fact, that Hudbill is laundering money through the temple. This is definitely not going to be a problem. To be fair, he's very professional. Like he's very unlikely to get caught.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's fine. If he's going to work for us pro bono, then we can let him launder a little money.
A little money. Only 2 coin, guys. Yeah, so 2 coin, a weekly income for a small business. Not very much at all. 2 weeks' wages. Fun fact. Okay, great. I'm gonna roll your wanted level. Wow, you're at 2 wanted level.
That's not good.
No, that is actually quite bad.
Roll the 6.
Entanglement, a show of force. Oh, this is really bad for you, actually. Faction with whom... well, you get what you want. A faction with whom you have a negative status makes a play against your holdings. Give them 1 claim or go to war. I think it's pretty clear what's going to happen here, which is that the Begum's going to make a play for your +2 coin claim. Like, she will notice that that's there, and she's like, I'm going to take it off you.
I would literally die before I give it to
Yeah,
her.
so like either you know, give it to her or you go to war.
Mm.
Guys, what are we thinking?
I'm not giving her anything.
Exactly.
War opens.
So I guess we are going to war with Begum Bashundara.
Yay!
It just made too much sense once I saw that.
So I guess she's no longer in the committee, kind of, probably.
What? You think she can't be in a committee with someone whose guts she absolutely wants to,
Fair.
like, you know?
He's married to someone like that. She can be in a committee with us. Too.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So
Okay, we'll see what this
yeah,
means.
we'll see what that means.
Begum Boshundara will be destroyed.
So, after the score, during the payoff, we determined that Begum Bashundara is now going to do everything she can to get her new vision of the temple, which is a zoo/parking lot, to happen, up to and including going to war with us. So, we're now at war with Begum Bashundara.
I have realized exactly how you're going to be at war, which is you are going to be drowning in paperwork. No time to do anything.
Oh, that kind of
Yep.
war.
Yep.
No, it's a boring war.
No, yeah, it is
She's
not a-
trying to outwar us.
In fact, let's just I think we see the scene where, unlike many of the things that arrive at your temple, this is not delivered to you by some kind of ragged urchin or a ne'er-do-well. This is given to you by. So another thing that I was thinking about this week, because I'm like this, is that I was thinking that the bureaucracy would probably have its own I wouldn't call it a police organization, but some kind of organized militia. And really all that it's for is protecting the interests of the bureaucracy. But one of the things that they do also is deliver this kind of notice.
There's mercenaries in Uduasha, we've established. There's no centralized police
Right.
force, but there's plenty of guns for
Yeah.
hire. It would make sense for the bureaucracy to
Yeah.
hire them.
So I think that. Oh no, I think this is a standing contract with one group that the bureaucracy is kind of written.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think this large burly woman delivers something to you, or delivers something to whoever is at the temple. Takes your signature on 4 different pieces of paper, and then looks around at the temple, kind of sneers, and then walks away, having the.
We just got served.
Yeah, and the letter is very comprehensive, and you can see. So there's 3 copies of this letter, which is the least number of copies that you can get away with. Which is say there's 1 for you, 1 for the Begum, and 1 for the bureaucracy library. And it's a letter that basically says that noticed this discrepancy in the contract that she has with Earl Ashcroft, and having noticed this, she believes that you are embezzling funds from her, and she has begun the process to apply to begin a case against you in the lower courts. And what that means is that you're going to be stuck while you're stuck in the justice system. You can't really your assets are frozen. Whatever you do is going to potentially come under scrutiny, and you'll have to grease the wheels to be able to do stuff. And for the listeners, the reason that this is important is that when the crew is at war with someone, instead of getting 2 free downtime actions during downtime, they only get 1. And this is one of the reasons that this crew specifically is only going to get 1.
Delightful. Time to destroy this person.
I have an idea for a free play scene as well, but I want to do some downtime first.
Freya would definitely like to indulge Vice, and since we haven't seen her Vice prepare before, that might be a little bit more involved, so someone else can go first.
If no one else has an idea for what they want to do, I can go first.
Oh, well, I mean, we had a joint idea.
We have a joint
Oh,
idea.
you have a
yes.
joint idea. Please lay this on me.
Yeah. So, this probably is not necessarily a scene, but what Vickers is going to do is she is going to take Augustus Khan, the redeemed Morrisim, and is going to be interviewed by the newspaper. You see, by Abbas's newspaper, for a piece about the redeeming power of sport. How it has the ability to take this. Of course, we're still trying to disguise his old identity. So he will be an anonymous man who was embroiled in vice and crime before he started with a wholesome, uplifting practice of roofball. And look what a changed man he is today.
Wow. Okay, I want to make clear here. So Morrisim has changed his identity completely, right? So
Yes.
what new identifying feature does he have that sets him completely apart from that sets Augustus Khan completely apart from Morrisim?
Yeah, well, besides his fake nose and the disguise kit that I have applied to him to change his appearance, but I guess this is establishing his new personality trait. And I think the funniest personality trait to go with Augustus Khan is I feel like he got this weird confidence boost when he was, as you said, an Indian guy pretending to be French very badly.
Yeah, indeed.
I think that the new trait he has is that he's a romantic.
Oh my god. Okay.
Which is so far removed from Morrisim before, but now he's he recites poetry and has this grand romantic idea of himself, and he's He is trying to impress some girl with his roof ball skills.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. He is a romantic to impress several different people at the same
Yes.
time, and it is.
Yes.
I don't think he's succeeding with any of them currently. Maybe with the redemption clock finishes, he will be good at it. But for now, all of them. Oh man,
Yes.
this is bad.
So I think how this will work is that Vickers will work on the redemption of Augustus Khan to get him to basically coach him through the interview, and then Abbas will write the piece.
Okay,
about
great,
him to
fantastic.
work on the newspaper. Cop.
Yeah.
We also described him having an eye patch, a romantic eye patch,
Yes.
which of course doesn't normally come through in newsprint, but in
Mhm.
his article it does, because he keeps
Yes.
referring to how he lost his eye as one of his formative experiences.
I love the.
What's the state of technology as far as photography is concerned in Blades?
I think that in Iruvia, I feel like photography is at the cutting edge of electroplasmic technology, and I think that the Chandlers do have a way of capturing images, but that is more. What happens is that a skilled artisan is able to duplicate a very quote unquote photorealistic image onto a piece of wax. And then the wax is treated in a way that makes it look real, but it's not really a photograph. And in any case, both of those things are really expensive.
I think then probably newspapers are illustrated newspapers, they have
Yeah.
drawings.
Mhm.
Yes, but that gives me an idea for how to make my newspaper the best one, to
Uh-huh.
have a photographer,
Amazing.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
which I'll do, I guess, next time around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for now, I will consort with Augustus Khan, and I think basically what will happen here is Vickers will conduct the interview, right, and then Abbas will write the
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
So I'll do a consort to work on my project first, and I roll a 2.
Excellent.
So I work very slowly on the redemption of one Augustus Khan, and I think the reason for this is that it's actually quite hard for him to put himself in a positive light. He keeps saying things that make him look
Yep.
bad, and
And I think also his terrible Indian French doesn't help, because in the middle of being
No.
very sad,
Mhm.
he will say something like "Jatame." That's how you. Yeah, Jatame.
Yes.
You know.
Excellent. So I don't get that much out of the interview, mostly for basically his public redemption is not going too well. But you might still bring attention to the newspaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think what could happen. Okay, well, let me roll first. And what am
Uh-huh.
I doing? I think study probably.
Yeah, it seems appropriate.
Okay,
A 4 and a 1.
Okay, so some more progress on the paper
Yeah.
at least.
It's
Two
2
ticks,
ticks.
is
Yeah.
it?
I think
Mhm.
Abbas is able to add loads of quite interesting context about the history of roofball in Iruvia, the history of roofball in Uduasha, the way that the sport has changed over the years. It makes this interview more interesting than it might be otherwise, right? And I also think we get this amazing shot at some point we just get this image of Goopy and Baga, this newspaper. Actually, you know what? I think Goopy gets his copy for free because he's a contributor, and I think they're reading it and going, "Oh wow, this is a really amazing story." And then one of them look at the other and say, "Doesn't this sound a bit like something Morrison would say?" And the other one's like, "Nah, no way, man, no way." And they just move on, right?
Morrison isn't French. What are you talking about?
Fantastic. Okay.
Okay, that's my free downtime action. I will do more stuff, but I'm fine with someone else going next.
So, Joan or Freya?
Sure. I think it's time for Joe to indulge Vice
Oh,
as well.
lovely.
For
For
the
the
first
first
time.
time this campaign. It's been what?
For the first time this campaign. And she has a new Vice. Because,
It's been
the last
Yeah.
one, which we never got to see, was reading scripture off the skin of the snake. Or predictions, I guess.
Hmm.
But the snake is now gone, and it never really managed to happen. And then the snake was gone, so I couldn't indulge Vice. But now there is something new.
Yes.
Her new Vice has to do with the strange hunger that has been consuming her. I noted it down as unaccountably peckish, if you know, you know. What I think she's going to do now is try to establish a purveyor.
Mm.
And we discussed at some point that that purveyor might be, and I'm looking up the title, the House of the Hungry.
Yes, we did say that. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the House of the Hungry, or as it is otherwise known, the Hungering one, yes. The House of the Hungry is in Golimpit, for which Joan has been in before, because that's where the Chandlers live, work.
Mm-hmm.
Low down in the in Udwasha, the light not quite so bright down here, and strange shadows are cast by all of the things that happen above you. Yet, I think the falling star is so hot that the closer you get to it, noticeably warm you get. So weirdly, the further away you get from the light, the hotter you feel. But maybe that's just because the Chandlers work here and they work a lot with flame, right? Like, so yeah. How did you hear about the House of the Hungry? Is that something that, like, because the Daddy Danda told you his method of changing, but that wasn't what you're doing now.
No. It's possible that during our time going into Golabith, for the time when we met the Chandlers, right? The time when we met that specific Chandler who was very angry at us. We were at that point trying to get to know what others outside the temple might need from the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was then, in like a moment that we didn't see, that Joan heard about this other temple to another god that was here, and that was serving many of the people of this area that had trouble with food. Specifically, usually the lack of it.
Yeah. And I think that, like, as you make your way towards it, you see, I think there is a constant hustle and bustle, and they have actually cleared out quite a large, like, kind of wide public area, put down tables and chairs, and you see kind of rows of people eat. And as soon as someone's done, they get up and leave, you know, go wash their hands, wash them out, whatever, and they're immediately replaced by somebody else. What do you think? Actually, let me not ask you, Emma. Let's ask. What do you think the priests of the of this temple? What do they look like?
I had an idea that spontaneously came
Yes.
into
Go on.
my head. I think that the priests, they're all shirtless, and the only thing they wear on their upper body is heavy rows of necklaces of teeth.
Nice. Very good. Incredible. And I think you can hear the teeth kind of rattle, right? So, like, the hustle and bustle is also kind of like under, what is the word? Undermined, but there is an undertone of like this clinking of teeth as the priests move up and down, and they are the ones doing the feeding. And I'm taking a lot of the inspiration for this from the way that, like, in a certain kind of Indian wedding, South Indian wedding specifically, when you have lunch, they will feed you on a banana leaf, and you're in like these very long benches. Sit down, and then someone just like has got a bucket, for example, of beans. The person just gets like some beans on their leaf, and then this person will just go all the way down the line. And that's kind of what's happening here. And I think, Joan, you can see that if you want to join the line, it's going to be a while. Or you can go inside the temple, see if you want to talk to a priest, maybe arrange something.
I don't have any use for more food. I need to know about hunger.
Indeed. So if you want to know about hunger, the main temple itself, of course, is also full. But you can meet a priest, no problem. And I'll tell you what, it's possible you will not meet a local Iruvian priest. It's possible you'll meet an Akarosi.
There is one in there.
Yes. I'm going to flip a coin just to see. So 1 is Iruvian and 2 is accuracy. 2. You're going to meet the accuracy NPC that is in the notes. Madison Frake. She is a priestess of the empty vessel, which is what people in Akros call the hungering one. And in fact, she will come up to you as you kind of wander in and say, and she will say, you have the look of someone about you. Perhaps I can help? What is it that you seek?
One thing I will say about this person is that they are not dressed like a traditional priest of the Hungering One at all.
Interesting.
They're dressed in casual accuracy
Right.
clothes.
And I didn't think I recognized her as one at first.
Yeah. So what do you do when a rando stranger turns up and asks you the question?
The look of someone about me. And I am someone. Joan, actually. And then she like awkwardly sticks out her hand.
Madison like grabs your hand and then like turns it over and peers at your fingers and says, interesting. Calluses and a hint of electroplasm? My. You've lived an interesting life. What have you done to bring you into the temple of the empty vessel?
Think of eating something that didn't sit well with me.
And you are sure that this is not merely some indigestion caused by street meat?
When I eat, the hunger doesn't go away.
And I think when you say this, like her eyes go kind of wide, and she says, "True disciple. Yes, come with me. Like she just like grabs you by the hand and starts like walking you over. The way that I imagine this temple is that like it's got like these like big ornate pillars carved, with various like facets of the Hungering One in all its shapes and forms. And she leads you to, and I'm like oscillating between she and they for Madison because for some reason I have now decided she leads you to like a little part of this compound where you can see it's mostly Akarosi sitting here, talking to each other, yelling, rolling dice, and they kind of like look at their compatriots and say, Friends, I have brought a disciple. Come, sit.
I'm sorry, who are you exactly?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I did not make your acquaintance. My name is Madison. I am Madison Frake. I'm a priest of the empty vessel, sent here straight from the Imperial Heartland in order to speak with our brethren.
Again, I'm Joan. Pleased to meet all of you.
And like everyone else, like kind of says, "Hello, Joan." And Madison says, "So, tell me, you feel that you have a void in you?"
She like kind of she can't find her words at being interrupted. Having wanted to say like, oh yes, I am a disciple. I am a priest of, or not a priest, like a groundskeeper of the Undying One. But Madison's kind of forcefulness pushes that thought away. And she answers honestly, yes, as I said, I can't seem to find nourishment that satisfies me.
Well, seems you have already unlocked one of the mysteries. Some of us go decades without finding it, but you have that look about you. Hunger is a gift. How would you like to learn about hunger?
I spoke to a friend. He said, he advised me to learn how to eat again in a way that others could show me how.
Yes.
To appreciate food, to be nourished by it. And I thought since you are so involved in the matter.
I will note for our audience that one of the tags that Madison Freak has is cannibal.
Yes.
And they will say, truly, one starts by learning that our hunger is a gift and that to nourish it, we must only consume that which we know will sate us. And then I think they point to someone in their little group who is currently like looking at a banana, and this banana is like kind of in front of them, and it's kind of like unripe. And she says, "Now, Emil over there, he's been looking at that banana for 4 days. He's been watching it ripen. Not ready yet. And when it is, then only then we'll eat it. That is what hunger is."
I would just want to find out what will sate them.
Well, the unsatisfactory answer is trial and error. But you look like someone who has a deeper instinct. What do you feel drawn to? What kinds of things do you think are particularly enticing? And we are friends here. Let me tell you, some of us consume things that would not be considered polite by many in the Empire.
Now, someone else might be pushed back, repelled, or get the sense that they are walking into a place that is dangerous. But we have seen from Joan already that what has in the past worked for her to like deal with great existential problems is to throw herself into the embrace of a divinity or into faith.
Yeah.
And that is also why she came here, rather than seek out a doctor or Vicus's alternative friend. So she thinks for a moment. Things that have spirit. That is what I hunger for.
I think that you are saying exactly the right things. It's almost not even a role here. But I'm just curious, fortune roll to see how much she likes you. You know, like she likes you a lot, but I'm just curious. Probably a consort with dice in, but you can have like one die from her. So.
All right. Fortune consort with one die from her. It's one die.
Yeah,
that's a 5.
So basically, essentially, I was wondering, is she gonna turn up right now and say, "Hey, I'm a cannibal"? She's not, but I think with a 5, she looks at you and she says, "Spirit. Oh, once you get a taste, there's nothing else quite like it. Why, some of us hunger for it, something quite fierce. I think that you would make a fine addition. I think you and I could both learn much from each other regarding hunger." And then I think she roots around in her little bag. No, I don't think that's what she has. I think that there is a little table set up in like this one corner of the compound. And they go over to it and pick up what looks like some kind of ripe fruit, apple or something. And they come back and they hand it to you and they say, "This has been grown using kind of technique only really being used in Duskwall. Got electroplasm in it. Quite the kind of spirit that I think you or I love, but it will do to start. And I think now is where you should roll your vice roll."
Yeah, I think so too.
Ha! A 5 and a
That's
6. I mean, it's not even the apple. It's just being around people who seem to get it. The apple's fine. But the fact that, like, there is a look in Madison's eye as you eat it, when they go, yeah, it's not great, but it kind of it's like drinking. Have you ever had? Maybe you haven't actually. In India, a very common way to adulterate coffee is to put chicory in it, and the chicory is not very good, but it's still coffee. So it's kind of like that. It's like nothing that like somewhat like the real thing, but kind of also unsatisfying. And it's that moment of camaraderie that really helps.
Yes, that seems fitting.
And I think Madison will say, come back anytime. Some of us are meeting separately soon, so if you would like to join us. And then I think they scribble something on a piece of paper and just like fold it and hand it to you. And it's probably like, first meeting, like the introduction to the secret cannibal cult or whatever. Like, not everyone is up to this, but some people are. And I think they're just like, if you want to come, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. No pressure. Knowing full well that nothing entices people more than, oh, it's just a thing. Don't even worry about it. You don't have to come.
And I think that's what she says with a unfittingly big grin. I will be there.
So I wrote this cult, so I don't want to. So it's a bit tooting my own horn, but I am enjoying how fucked up this is. That there's this Iruvian temple that's feeding the hungry, wonderful noble institution, and inside it there's a bunch of accuracies who are like, "What if we ate?"
Yeah. I mean, the way that I
Unmarked.
the way that I imagine it is that like the Iruvians are up to their own stuff, but it's definitely not cannibalism. It's definitely not cannibalism. But I also really enjoyed. So I oh man, maybe like even 10 years ago now, I went on a hunger strike for something, and I was drawing on a lot of that for this, where like the present feeling of hunger everywhere, and then like pushing it away. Like, yeah, Madison was just entirely that feeling given voice. So, and I really quite enjoyed that.
And so blows out our brief candle. I named the disciples of the ceaseless temple thus, with both their given names and taken. Soumithri, called Tree. Zoheb, called Klow. Prince, Emma, and Aadiyat, called Soap. Intro music, Jalandhar by Kevin MacLeod. Outro music in Keeravani Ragam by Srinivas. Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions. Iruvian playbooks by Johnstone Metzger. Follow us at Desperate Attune on Twitter or email us at desperateattune@gmail.com. Support us at kofi.com/desperateattune.
On the next episode of Desperate Attune, every member must earn their wings. I think we're at the stage where we can try you out for it. Though I must remind you, she says, and she stares at him kind of sternly, that you did attempt to seriously injure my husband. I would like you to keep that in mind as this exercise comes up. Alright?
Mon ami, in war, all this is to be expected.
Indeed. You're coming along nicely on the accent, I must say.
The trick is to not actually speak Severosi, but merely affect it in Iruvian.
You know, you should want to take acting classes. I'm sure there's something up in Ishkloister. Anyway, I would like you to try on, at least, a pair of wings. And she will hold up a harness with wings on it. Similar, but not exactly the same to what Vickers wears, and we will see why in a minute.
He's gonna wear it.
So he gets strapped into his wings, and I think it's put on him by the other Roofball members. And then Vickers will point at like a runway that leads out
Oh my
over the
God.
great drop. All right, so this is a little exercise I like to call taking the plunge.